The place of my residence is in Chandler, Arizona. At the age of 17, when I was heavily involved in gaming and lived with my parents, this occurred. In those days, I performed a lot of Call of Duty in my computer-controlled room, particularly during the summer when it's always so hot outside and I prefer to stay inside with the air conditioning on. During my time at home, I had a lot of privacy since my parents frequently traveled and I was the only one to leave. I remember staying up late on a Friday night or another night when school was closed the next day. Upon my return from school, I submitted a paper that was due by then to get it over. My mom's orders had been gone for a while, so I needed to go on some shopping. I was able to make ends meet in the house thanks to my dad's explanation. I was given cash by them to spend. It was necessary for me to show the receipt to prevent any misuse. After receiving a shopping list from my mom, I drove to Whole Foods in my old Camry, which was my first car. It took approximately an hour for shopping to happen from one door to another. I'm not sure why the guy behind me, who is online, started talking to me while I was shopping at the grocery store. He mentioned something about one of my purchases and wouldn't stop. He wouldn't stop talking to me while I was unpacking groceries, which struck me as odd. He was not directing his attention towards anyone else. Despite everything, I was still pleasant. As I left, I declared that it would be a good one. I exited the parking lot and put my car in the trunk before heading back home. It was a very hot day in early June. I didn't feel like going out to do anything after finishing my tasks. I got my Call of Duty Black Ops on my computer and texted my friend Johnny to get on, as it was dark out. He was part of my party, and we played team deathmatch as per our usual practice. I was wearing my Log Attack noise-canceling headset. Our plans had been set for playing Call of Duty all night and ranking up, so I needed to make dinner at some point. It's possible that I haven't played for 2 hours. I informed Johnny that I would have dinner and could be sedative within an hour. He mentioned that he would return to his previous position at a later time. With that, I took a break and prepared some pasta for dinner. My room is located upstairs, while the kitchen is situated downstairs. As I sat down to dinner in the kitchen, I was aware that there was a loud noise coming from upstairs. It appeared to be a slip-up. I wasn't sure. It could have been various things, but I don't think it would be anything other than a footstep. Despite this, I proceeded to unlock the front door. It was common for me to leave the door unlocked while my parents lived in their house, as it was situated on an unfavorable residential area. The idea of a break-in was not taken seriously by me. You hear about it on the news, but you don't think that will ever happen to you. When I ascended the stairs, I didn't anticipate anything but my brother Tristan's name being spoken in the hallway. I had the impression that he wasn't welcome here, but I'm uncertain. I heard a noise and felt the need to check if anyone was present. I returned to my room and restarted Call of Duty after no one answered. I reconnected my headset and texted Johnny to let him know that I'm going to return. He returned too, and we reintroduced Team Deathmatch. A few games are played. I turned left at the door of my room and looked into the hallway. Whether it's the sound from my peripheral vision or something else is unclear, but when I was alone at home, I'd simply leave the door open as directed by my mother. With the exception of a small night light fitting an outlet, the hallway was completely dark. The wall lights in my room were illuminated with a blue hue. The hallway closest to my room was filled with a drop of blue. The door's crack was entirely black. I was unable to see it. I didn't take anything into consideration. After the next game, Johnny left the lobby and stated that he was taking a leak. After checking my phone, I glanced back at the hallway. It dawned on me that something was distinct. The door's crack allowed me to see the hallway. Just minutes ago, I thought to myself, "Oh wait, someone's blocking it." I instinctively turned my chair to face the bed behind me, and there was a man sitting on my bed. This bizarre stance with his hands on his thighs. It seemed almost as if he was smiling. My fear caused me to leap off my seat and onto the desk, causing my monitor and other belongings to fall off. I screamed out to, "What the hell do you want?" And soon he was smiling, revealing his teeth and sounding like a laughing child. I exited the room and headed towards the hallway. Halfway down the hallway, I glanced back at my bedroom door. The guy stopped walking into the doorway as I heard the springs of my bed lifting. He was positioned in that spot. I shouted at you again, "What's your message for me?" He spoke slowly and with a stunned frown, asking if he could also play. "Can you share your journey with me? How did you arrive here?" He stepped up and pointed at the stairs. I thought he was entering through the front door. I was clueless about what to do, so I hurried down the stairs to the landline phone while my cell phone remained in my room. I took hold of the phone and a kitchen knife, shouting at them to call 911. The last time I saw the guy was when he walked past the kitchen, looked at me, and then heard footsteps from the steps. I hurriedly opened it and secured its closure. I felt a sense of disgrace for leaving the door unlocked for the first time. I held onto the phone for a short time, contemplating whether to inform my parents. In the end, I succeeded. My mother was initially worried, but then became furious and contacted my father's phone. He instructed me to search the house and ensure that nothing was stolen. Honestly, I went through every room and it all seemed to be working out. When I inquired if there was something amiss with the man, my father replied that it wasn't. It's not that the man was overly hostile, but something was amiss with him, and I don't know what his intention was. The sight of him sitting on my bed and the realization that he was watching me through the doorway was enough to make it unsettling. I'm not proud of this one, mostly because of my naivety. I had no experience conversing with girls in school during middle and early high school, unlike many boys who experienced that during the same period. During 8th grade, I had a friendly demeanor, regular friends and activities, but I have never been romantically involved with any girls. Despite some of my friends asserting that they had already gone beyond the norm with girls, I still struggled to approach them in that manner. Within a year, the mindset had transformed from boys mocking girls to sudden liking of them. During both middle school and early high school, I was quite skilled at playing games. At the time of my 8th grade education, I was about 13 years old. I must have been struggling with a bit of early pubescent tone in my voice. It was in 2010. My gaming habits were shaped by my preference for console and computer MMORPG games. During that time, I enjoyed playing console games like GTA 4 and Call of Duty, while my favorite computer game was an MMORPG called Guzu. In this online game, you would level up by killing monsters, and as you progressed to higher level monster levels and hunting areas, your skills increased. There were a lot of people playing this game online. My elder sibling also played it occasionally. I had a greater sense of confidence in playing it. My identity was not a guild or town and everything else. I have no memory of when or how it happened, but I made friends with a female player who was more skilled than me. I'd log in as Medusa and she would message me both times, and so did she the other way around. We would go to parties together, which involved sharing EXP on the monsters we had killed, and then spending hours chatting. She had a thorough knowledge of me, including my age, hometown, and some personal family details. She would also come forward to me. She eventually disclosed to me that she was Teresa. The connection I felt with a girl who had no knowledge of her appearance or voice was strange. This was like having a penis, but with added benefits. The fact that we both resided in New York State was intriguing. She was situated about an hour away from me. A few weeks or months later, we started talking about the possibility of meeting up one day. The only way to accomplish this would be by exchanging numbers. My only cell phone was an iPod Touch back then, but I had a texting app that allowed me to communicate with people on the phone. I utilized this app to send her a picture of myself. This was a cringe-worthy 8th grade boy selfie that depicted me striving to look good. After calling me cute, she sent a picture of herself. Her age was mentioned as 15, which made her look a few years older than me. The picture suggests that I found her very attractive. At that moment, her messages became more romantic and flirtatious, but we were both minors and couldn't drive for an hour. Yet, it seems she had a remedy for this. She informed me that her sister had acquaintances in my vicinity, and she was able to provide me with a ride. The news that this had happened to me was a shock to little minds, as I was only 13 years old. I wished to have the freedom to stay at home with my parents for 24 hours, which was approximately a week after they left. My parents were scheduled to spend the weekend in the Hamptons, so my brother and I would be staying home. I requested my 18-year-old brother to go out with friends for a night so that I could spend time alone with Teresa. I provided my address to Teresa and invited her to come on that Saturday whenever she wished. She mentioned that she would arrive slightly later, like at night. She didn't give me a specific time. We had not contacted each other on the phone until that moment. Her words were still in my ears. My anxiety persisted throughout the day, preventing me from playing video games. I was occupied with cleaning my room, keeping cool, improving my appearance, and even practicing saying things during the first meeting. Teresa sent me a text informing me that she was present. I jumped and went towards the front door. I scanned through the crowd and couldn't find anyone. She authorized you to enter the front entrance. After opening the door, I headed towards the front porch. I glanced around and the street was quiet. Cars are not an option, just people. I went inside again and shut the door. I sent her a text message, informing her that I had not seen anything. She retorted, "Wait a minute, I have the wrong house." It was a bit off-putting. I locked the door and sat on the living room couch, nervously waiting, playing games on my iPod. Once again, she reached out to me via text. She mentioned that she is here and will be going outside. I sounded the bell to let you know that you were at the right house. The doorbell rang. Her anxiety has set in now. I went to the entrance, checked out the crowd, but couldn't find anyone there. Through the door, I spoke to Teresa. Among the crowd, I witnessed the hand approaching the door and knocking. As I scanned through the crowd, I said Teresa once more. The situation seemed to crumble on me as a short, bald man approached the crowd and proceeded to shout through the door, saying, "Joey, Medusa from Goonsu, I want to talk." Without any words to describe my experience, I ran from the door with my hands over my mouth. The individual I'd been conversing with for a while was an unsettling adult male. I was both disgusted and terrified. I went to reach my sibling's cell phone. He remained put. The doorbell kept ringing nonstop. I went into my bedroom and locked myself inside. Holding the house phone in my hands, I entertained the idea of calling my parents. Still, I am too ashamed to engage in such activities. The lights were present in only one room in the house, and it was my own. In my room, there was a sizable window that provided views of the entire backyard of our tiny corner house. I shut my lamp off and kinked the blinds slightly just to make it break. The individual on the other side was attempting to look inside. He commenced to knock on the window and communicated our apparent bond through the closed window, stating that we can be friends at least. I didn't respond. Once again, I called my brother and he took the call. I requested that you come back to me right away. The man from Teresa was a mature individual and is currently present in my presence. Throughout his teenage years, my brother has maintained a fairly large physique. His presence makes me feel more secure. He mentioned that he was heading home with his friends at the moment. If there was any news, I would call him and see if we could make it. After that, I ran upstairs to my parents' bedroom and hid there. My message app was being bombarded by a man who claimed to be interested in talking, but his falsehood caused him to fabricate the reason. After returning home, my brother informed me that he had taken the individual with him outside. The eerie short man was confronted outside by my brother and his 3 companions. I went out to observe. The man was yelled at by the 4 of them, who called him a sick fucking leg. The man defended himself by stating that he was worried about my health and that the invitations from online strangers were meant to teach me something. I challenged his statement by asking why he was saying we could be good friends at my window. After my brother and his friends started pushing him, he quickly began to walk to his car. One of my brothers threw a rocket at his window after my brother kicked the tail light of someone else. He sprinted down the road to avoid being seen again. Despite the embarrassment and discomfort, I was grateful to my brother and his friends for their support. A seriously ill creep had been breaking into the house, and they could have saved me. It's still painful and uncomfortable to realize that I spent a considerable amount of time on chatting with someone my own age who appeared to be some creepy grown man with varying motives. This occurred during the previous week. Can you provide some background information? It was only recently that I officially ended my playing time on Fortnite. Although it's not significant, this was in May of 2021. Fortnite had already enlisted numerous individuals to quit the game. I was recommended by my friend Brandon to download Apex Legends and play with him. The game had been downloaded, so I updated it to the current version. After signing in, I recollected my lack of enjoyment from the game. I had not played since the game was released, so my statistics were terrible. The only things I had were the beginning legends. I had the impression that Pathfinder and Bloodhound would be the 2 most effective starters. My gaming headset is too loud for me, so I could hear nothing but the sound of running noise. The true story begins when I was alone at home. During my parents' lackluster late anniversary celebration, my brother was at his friend's place. Brandon and I were playing Apex when he got a text message from. He responded with a, "Sorry, I got an unexpected message." "What is the message conveyed by?" I inquired. The exact way it occurred is something I can still recall. He urged the viewer to look out from the window. "Look out the window, there's nothing up there," I said. He suggests that he should look out of his window and say no. What is the reason behind it? What is the reason behind it? As I turned my head slightly to the right, I then turned left. I was unsure which window to look out from since there are 5 windows in this room. I gazed at each of them in a panic-stricken state, and I discovered it. The one that was largely hidden from my couch. There was a man standing in that location. There was uninformed. I didn't take much notice because the dude was facing away from the window. I had little knowledge of what was happening. I put back my earbuds. Another text was sent to Brandon. He stated, "Luke, I'm not messing with you. It seems like someone is observing you from the window." I was aware that I had informed him. I witnessed him. He's not paying attention. "I'm curious, what exactly is it?" he inquired. "He took a picture of you at the window and appeared to be inexperienced." "I'm not sure what to say. Could you clarify?" I expressed. "He advises me to call the police and remove him from there." He abruptly stopped talking, resulting in the sound of an Xbox notification. He departed from the party. It's rare for him to say goodbye or go to sleep, and I noticed he was still in Apex during a match. "I'm not sure what to say. Could you clarify?" Once more I whispered. Eventually, Brandon extended an invitation to a party and I inquired about the events. The next thing I knew, there was a deeper voice on the microphone than Brandon's. I can still recall the words in every detail. "I will come in if you don't leave now." The voice was completely unfamiliar to me, but I could tell it was an adult male. I glanced at the window and realized he was banging on it. There was a complete sense of melancholy on his face. His face was dark red and his hands bloodied. He pounded on the window and it started to break. I reached for my phone, which was situated beside me. The fact that it was at 1% of the battery left me horrified. My words were repetitive. "Oh shit." Upon speaking to my phone, I heard the announcement that someone was attempting to break into my residence. He has a dark red face and bleeding hands. Then it was just like, he starts screaming and throwing up at my window. Waiting was the next step for me. Our windows are equipped with screen sheets in front of them. In the event that he never broke off the glass, how could it be possible that they were already at the other side? It was a lengthy process of thinking. At last, a piece of glass falls to the ground. A hole that I can shout through becomes available. I shouted, "Get out of here before the police arrive." I took too much time to finish those words. Each time a piece falls, another shard is released. In search of a big knife in the kitchen knife box, I went back to the place where the man was breaking the window. The hole was already there, but it was large enough for him to crawl through. After that, I went back to the kitchen and took out my cordless phone, ran upstairs, and dialed 911. I shared with them the exact words I verbally abused on my cell phone earlier, as well as the fact that he was now located in my dwelling. Sadly, the only doors that have any openings on the upper floor are those to the bathrooms. With a solid foundation, I entered my parents' room and the bathroom, locking the door. At that point, I thought I was being shrewd because I left the bedroom door open, and the bathroom door inside the room is not visible from the hallway. The door would be wide open when I arrived upstairs before the cops arrived, leading him to believe I wasn't inside. All of a sudden, I heard footsteps as I looked up from the stairs. My heart pounding became more intense, and it was harder to catch my breath. Upon discovering a sharp object that I thought might be my weapon, I suspect he heard the drawer and stumbled into the bedroom. I heard sirens outside and was inundated with gratitude towards the police for being so quick. He was left with nowhere to turn when he heard it too. I heard him running outside, but it was too late. The police had already been present. I also ran outside to the police and told them what had happened. Handcuffed and detained, the man was found with his wrists covered in blood. Later on, I discovered that I had murdered the individual in Apex and verbally abused him just an hour or two ago. He was able to obtain my address and Brandon's phone number. Certain individuals are fucked up, and it seems they will do outrageous things for video games. Despite the frustration that comes with losing oneself in a game, being present at someone's home to potentially kill them in person is utterly ridiculous. It was necessary for this man to possess mental capabilities. After the man was taken away by others, a few police cars stayed at my house overnight. The man was found guilty of aggravated